Is it just this?
Do you want me to grab a mouse?
No.
It's a little one thing. If you wanted a mouse.
No, I don't need a mouse. Ooh, look at that. Wow. It's like extra
Dr.
super
Kraft.
duty.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Kraft, will you like to get started on the workshop since we only have 30 minutes and make it happen?
Okay, thanks.
It's informal conversation and looking forward to hearing, getting kind of a refresher here.
It is. Thank you. I'm just going to start this out a little bit. And we have some other speakers with us. There a couple things. The issue of affordable housing and housing itself has been a topic of conversation here, as you know, for years. The first presentation that this board had regarding housing per se is what I'll call a new series of presentations was in 16, and that was presented by Mr. Morrison from the county. And let me get to some of it. It was really, it's this, and this is a public document. It's been posted. It's still out there. And I think just for folks, January 21 is, I believe, the date of this, but it's also on board docs. He talked about demographics, the growth, the change in the valley, looking at the residents, the need for homes, jobs, tourists annually, all of that. And I would invite you to consider that. He also, this is just by way of reminder for everybody, he also talked about the housing pressures. And this was based on 13, 14, 15, and 16 data. The pressures are more intense in Napa. They were in 1990. Highest quality vineyards appraised for 400. That's already gone up to 500 an acre. While as farmland, it's valuable. And then he talked about, in that same thing, in that same area, talked about how property generally was just very valuable in the county. No surprise to anybody, and we kind of nodded on all that. This was then he went into housing, kind of by Bay Area standards. Napa is affordable, still considered affordable, as strange as that might be. I think this has gone up now. This is the median at 678. I'm not quite sure what it might be now. My guess is if you bought a home in 16, it's probably appreciated significantly. And then he talked about we have enough for our local employees if everybody kind of fills in and can afford these prices. But homes aren't affordable for the people who work here, which was one of his main points, talking about the income that you would need to support a home in these areas. And you can see it varies from 78 in American Canyon up to 180 in St. Helena. And he compared at the time some median income. So you could, peruse this at your leisure again. I think the issue for us is to really just kind of revisit this a little bit, take a look. And then in March, let me look at this one, of 16, that same year, we had a Napa Valley College housing presentation from the Gasser Foundation. Cass Walker presented that and really focused on housing affordable for our workforce, address social needs, et cetera. And again, I don't want to take too much more of our time on it, but just walk you through a little bit. Vacancy rates for rentals at that time were even larger than they are now. We had the median house price that she had done. This was an exhaustive research. She spent about 6 months, as you recall, in gathering data, holding forums across the county and city on this. Market rate rents went up. Affordable rent for a one-bedroom would be $700 to $1,200, including utilities. New construction costs have gone up, et cetera. And then she did the job sector data. These are the four areas that we looked at in terms of the jobs growth in the area. Healthcare is up, increase in government education, hospitality way up, and manufacturing a bit, which is also the wine industry. And then she compared kind of Napa County full-time workforce included in typical kind of job titles, which I thought was interesting. And I think our faculty, do you guys see? Oh, it's over here, right? So our faculty are included in this kind of 120% plus income, along with nurses and some other folks. Teachers and social workers are kind of in here. Certainly our part-time and staff would be over in this lower income or in here. And then she did this kind of a workforce income summary: annual salary, hourly paid, monthly rent at 30% of salary is what they could afford, and ended up with looking at newer apartment complexes. I'm doing this very quickly, but you can take a look. Montrachet all the way to Hawthorne, and some other kinds of units, the market rate, and low and high, and then looked at the median income rent for those, which would, her point at the time was, hey, it's incredibly hard to move into this county as a worker and afford something. And then she presented some, I'm not sure this has ever come to fruition. I think it was just thoughtful thinking. This is the Montessori school, which is that next to our college up there? Is that the Montessori school, do we know? I think so, right down from Pope Street. Courtyard in Coombsville is 20 units. Her other point was in this presentation, as you recall, that building affordable units as a portion of a large project generally does not net out a huge amount of affordable units. So in a 50-unit complex, and I won't overstep here, you're going to end up with just a few units at best if you're doing affordable per se under the guidelines. So it kind of set the context for the board. As you know, we had some further discussions about housing, started talking about housing. It was kind of full ranged, and then along come the fires. Changed the housing stock by 5%, both in Santa Rosa, and the housing stock here in Napa by 5%, as I understand. Rental rates have increased. I think people have been trying to hold the line, but market pressures, if you can get more, then I think many people did that. And so here we are, now with county, city, certainly state is inquiring on this. Foundations are inquiring about the college. And so there's pressure really for the board to at least hear updates. That's the workshop. So that's where we are. So with that, in respect to our time, John Glazier from the Napa Housing Coalition is invited to speak, and I would like for him to do his points, and we've connected already. Okay, thanks, John.
Thank you so much, members of the board, for this opportunity to address you on behalf of the Napa Housing Coalition. It's been a number of years since I last addressed the board, and the venue has changed, and I think maybe most of the members perhaps have changed. But it's just a pleasure to be able to speak with you. Especially it's a pleasure for me to represent the Napa Housing Coalition, and a colleague on the coalition, Liz Alessio, is here also offering support to our mission. The Napa Housing Coalition essentially is an ad hoc group of, I think, about 36 people, not officially representing agencies, but who informally represent various agencies. We have a Napa Valley Unified School Board trustee participating. Many of us, or a number of us, are retired, representing the sectors in which we worked in the county for a number of years. We get together, I think, primarily to address a vision we all share for Napa County and for the beautiful Napa Valley, and that is that it become a sustainable, life-supporting place to live and work. And I have some prepared remarks. I'll try to skip over them if I highlight a couple right now, but all one needs to do is to enter Napa County via Highway 12 or 29 during the morning commute or leave during the afternoon commute to appreciate the effect that a lack of adequate housing has. So many people who earn their livings here are coming from elsewhere. And that has profound implications, we think, for the place that we all want to be living and we hope our children and grandchildren will want to live. So as a county, we face some significant pressures, and I think the Napa Valley College does as well, to provide affordable education for students to succeed who are from Napa County and outside regions, while balancing the need to physically sustain and grow the college long term. And I won't go into detail on your statistics because I'm sure you all know them very well, but a substantial number of your students live at or below the poverty line, or at least classifiable as low income. The Housing Coalition is very anxious to find ways to work with governments and private sector organizations to impact that quality of life and to address the housing crisis that I think is preventing so many people from finding the housing they need here in this county. A figure that we want to share with you from Napa Valley Unified is that 54% of Napa Valley Unified School District children, and I think St. Helena and Calistoga may be comparable, are enrolled in the free and reduced lunch program. And that's the major qualifier for poverty designation. These college and community issues require short and long-term collaborative solutions and strategic planning. If we're going to be adequately caring for all the citizens who live here. Perhaps one of our greatest challenges is our current inability to ensure that growth for the college and county will include adequate housing for all those seeking a higher education and for faculty and staff, not to mention other members of the workforce who'd benefit by being able to live and work here. I'm going to skip down again as well. Among the outstanding programs that you offer is a police academy and a nurses training program. And if we can't successfully address our housing issues, effectively Napa College will become a vocational training program for other communities, police and nursing workforces. We really want the people who we grow here, who are able to earn their education here, also to be able to make a home here. As a result, well, I've already talked about the commutes. That speaks for itself. So we feel, and I think this is the piece of the problem that gets the most press, that the time has come when our developers and businesses that are profiting from our attractive environment need to contribute substantially to the housing infrastructure that's needed to support them. But we also believe that larger public sector organizations also need to be developing a collaborative long-term vision for what a 21st century community, and particularly one that is world-renowned, needs to look like. This is an opportunity for the college to become the county-wide model in this regard. Dr. Kraft alluded to or mentioned specifically some of the projects in place. And there's, I believe, a 500-unit project that's going to be constructed soon down in the Gasser property that was designed and built some time ago. I think I'm doing something to the computer that's controlling your slideshow. I'll move over a little bit. Guess I better go this way so you can hear me. Oh, thank you. Much better. The developer of that 500-unit complex, which is essentially for the greater part market rate, that's 500 units. Think about that probably many of which will be sold as second homes to people living in the Bay Area and beyond. They were able at that time to make a contribution of $2 million to our affordable housing fund. Well, $2 million translates to roughly 4 units of affordable housing. Believe it or not, the costs are quite high. We think we can bring those down. But imagine allowing 500 units of market rate housing, which are the high costs of housing the Register reported on Sunday. The prices are soaring, and these will help them soar more as a trade-off for 4 units of affordable housing. We also believe, for example, that a new hotel, which may employ 200 people, for example, needs to be thinking about those 200 people and where they're going to be able to live. Only a fraction, maybe 25%, are earning higher income salaries and able to afford our high housing prices. So Napa Valley College has shown great vision in its educational offerings that support our tourism economy, with programs like viticulture and technology and hospitality, culinary and tourism management. I already alluded to other vocational programs. As the Register, well, I've also talked about the fact that that costs are soaring. We feel that it is equally important that for the college to continue to strive to be state-of-the-art, it must also be contributing to the foundational housing needs, particularly those that will allow the college and our community to continue to thrive. And you are blessed with some land resources where this could be happening. And there are other public sector entities in the county that probably could follow suit if they saw a model taking that first step. Not only do we need housing for our students who want to remain in the community but can no longer live at home for a variety of reasons, but we also need workforce housing that's affordable and available to allow the college and other public entities to attract and retain outstanding faculty, classified employees, teachers, public safety personnel, and so on. We see these priorities as highly compatible with the mission of the college. Many of us throughout the Valley see this as a realistic and appropriate opportunity to take leadership on the future vitality of this community. Additionally, new developments just north of Imola and the proximity to the Vine Trail add to the services that are needed for a healthy residential development on college land that you could provide. The potential for public-private partnerships could make this a really cost-effective enterprise, and we think with a policy direction from the board that we can help you to mobilize those resources from throughout the community and beyond. And this would mobilize the community to assist you in bolstering broad community support for the essential college mission. We urge the board to direct staff, let's see, I've got to probably, yes. We urge the board to direct staff to broaden the feasibility study to include faculty and staff housing related to participating in these vital housing needs in addition to student housing, and to making that study a part of its next master plan. We know that you're in support of student housing. We're asking you to expand that support to address the needs of faculty and staff as well. Thank you so much for this opportunity to address you on this critical issue. We hope you share our vision for what this valley can be if we step up to the plate on this critical infrastructure need. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I have a quick question for you, John.
Okay. Hope I can answer it.
I hope so too, but if not, maybe you can come back with the answer at some point.
I would do that.
How granular have you been able to get some of the data that can relate to the folks that are commuting in? You know, we know how many people are coming in and out of the valley, but of those people, do we know what it would take for it to be an affordable proposition for them to live here?
I don't have the answer to that. Liz, do you?
No, but we do know that 70,000 residents in Napa County right now live rent burden. So we know it is pushing more and more people out, which is why we're seeing this increase of traffic. It's part of it.
I live in American Canyon. Boy, do I know.
I know, yeah, we've seen that happen. So that's really the ripple effect of the ongoing pressure of housing and increased cost of housing.
It would be interesting if at some point the data would show what kind of rents would be, would be possible, what would actually get people off the road.
Let us draw among our resources to see if we can get an answer to that question. That's a pretty, I think, in some ways sophisticated data point you're asking for, but it would be really interesting to know.
Thank you.
So we'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
In your program and in what you looked at and seeing manufacturing in, one of the employers, does that include the people who work in the fields? And have you thought about that in what you're trying to do? Because that would be, I don't know what kind of housing that would be. Definitely in the Napa Valley wouldn't be affordable. I know that there have been people talking about farm worker housing, because if you don't have farm workers, you don't have a wine industry. And yeah, for a fact, we know that they commute in groups. They have one up on us, commuting in groups from Lodi or as far as Stockton or Lake County. But that's a very grueling commute. Plus, they have to pay for it. So I'm just wondering if that's part of what you've been planning, or if it could be incorporated, or.
I think it absolutely is a part. We're blessed because I think the vintners and the Farm Bureau have taken initiative to provide some farm worker housing, which I understand is mostly dormitory style.
I'm part of that group, so I'm very familiar with that. But it's not nearly enough as to
and the families are. The reality is they're not so migrant anymore. We have so many families that are making their living here year round. The work spreads year round. So I think the answer is yes. We want, those are not exactly. We want to make sure everybody who lives and works here or who works here can afford to live here.
Okay, so.
I'm just wondering, do you know, I know NVOSD sold land that I'm sure is going to be turned into housing. Do you know what went into their decision-making to sell that land versus to do what we're considering, turning it into a public-private partnership and leasing the land for housing for its employees?
Yeah, is there a particular parcel you're thinking about?
I was thinking area around the farm. Didn't they sell that for?
I'll give you my best understanding now, and I've purposefully tried to not be too intimately involved. It's been appropriate for me to keep my distance, but my understanding is, and I can verify this and get back to you through Dr. Kraft, is that they are moving the farm, and having worked with, I believe, the Farm Bureau to place the farm in some land that's already acquired, still in easy walking distance of Vintage High School. And yes, in fact, that will free up that 10-acre parcel that includes the current Vintage Farm. I think the problem is going to be similar to the one that the county has related to Old Sonoma Road. I think that the desire by a public entity, one option would be, you raise a good point, to just not sell the land and to instead install some workforce housing there, and it's something that I think we need to follow up on.
So they haven't already sold the land?
No, to my knowledge, no. They're not going to put it on the market until the farm has been successfully moved.
Okay, so you don't know if they've considered just leasing that and turning that into housing or not?
I do not, but I'll pursue it. I think it's an important suggestion.
Thank you.
And perhaps put the district superintendent in charge, in touch with Dr. Kraft on that.
One more board question.
I was actually just going to make a comment about that. I know that they're looking at potentially making $10 million, which they desperately need. And the other thing, I do really like the idea of looking at this as a holistic issue, because I know the NVUSD is also looking at cuts over the next 3 years, and that has to do with declining enrollment, which is driven by people having to move away because they can't afford to live here. So it just spirals.
That's absolutely true. As I read the article this morning, the very same thing entered my mind. If we can do more to make sure the housing we have is filled by the people who can and need to live here, I think you'd see a change in that demographic trend that the district is wrestling with.
Do you see a big drive or move more to a discussion of workforce housing versus low income, or are those two things just being two separate conversations?
I think they're melded into one. We want the housing for everyone. We recognize that there are different tiers that people can afford, and that pressure needs to be generated, if you will, to make sure that we're accounting for all those needs. If we simply addressed workforce housing for people that are, say, above, and I'm making up these numbers, $75,000 income versus the people who are below a $50,000 income, that's a pretty significant difference, and we need to find housing that each group can afford.
Thank you so much for the presentation today.
Thank
I really
you for
appreciate
considering
it.
this issue. It is so critical and timely, and we'll do everything we can to support your efforts.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll continue. We have one public comment on the workshop. Mr. Hinton.
Good afternoon. James Hinton, 3574. Hunter Circle, Napa, California. I'm a lifelong Napa Valley resident. I started school here in 1993 when it was $5 a credit. Minimum wage was $4.25 back then. But things have changed. You know, you could get a house back then for probably $100,000, and there were plenty of them on the market. So people are coming to college to learn, solve the world's problems, you know. Napa does not have a budget crisis. We have tourism, and they are paying, when you stay in a hotel in Napa Valley, you're paying 14% in excise taxes, 12% in TOT that goes to the city, or if you're staying in the county, it goes to the county. And then there's a 2% TID tax, which is a Tourism Improvement District tax. And 3/4 of that goes to Visit Napa Valley. That's evolved into a $7.5 million slush fund that has very little to no oversight. The head of the fund, Clay Gregory, is making over $400,000. It's making $400,000 a year, I hear. Plus, he's getting kickbacks, bonuses, etc. That's more money than the president of this college board. That's more money than the city manager of Napa, than the county executive officer. It's more money than the police chief. It's more money than the sheriff. It's a lot of money. And they have sponsored the America's Cup. They last year's statements alone showed $2.3 million in personal expenses. We need to rediversify that money to workforce housing. So when you get that $2 million from the Gasser Foundation, we need to start directing the money from the hotel tax to go to a fund for workforce housing to house the troops at the hotel. $7.5 million last year. You have a new Archer Hotel opening. You have the Wine Train opening a hotel. You have 254 rooms approved on the super block, the footprint now of City Hall. This is going to be way more than $7.5 million in a few years. And it's out of control now, the spending of it. It needs to be focused in on. The community needs to talk about it. It is this future to housing, solving housing for the hotel workers. It's the future's right there. We need to get them, partner up with Clay Gregory and bring him into that conversation with this guy and talk about using that money appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, board. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 4:30, 4:29 according to my phone. Okay. Now we will go into closed session and my microphones. Is there any public comment on closed session items? All right, at this time, we will go into closed session, and we will be, oh, I'm sorry.
Roll call, correct?
Roll call?
Prior to, Carolee?
The roll call was when come back. Okay.
Jennifer Baker,
Here.
Amy Martinson,
Here.
Marianne Mancuso,
Here.
Kyle Iverson,
Here.
Michael Baldini.
He's
Rosada
running
Se-
late.
Is he late? Rosada Segura,
Here.
Rafael Rios,
Here.
Manveer Sandhu. Thank you.
Okay, we will be going into closed session and discussing labor negotiations and public employee performance.
Yeah, that, okay, so very good.
Okay.